We continue now at the top of Daf Tesvav Amud Beis in Mesechet Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 15b. On the previous summit, the Gemara was dealing with the position of Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said, let's say a person makes a neder, a konim for today, and it's based on some condition that they have to do tomorrow. So Rav Yehuda says that they have to observe the konim because we're afraid they might not fulfill the condition. And the Gemara had asked a question on the previous summit from a Mishnah later on, which discusses also it's a case which is a conditional situation, and it seems like in that situation she did not need to observe it, and we were not concerned that she would not fulfill the condition. Utiyuvta de Rav Yehuda, that seems to be a refutation of Rav Yehuda from that Mishnah, and the Gemara answers, Ki kotani di iyashani. No, that Mishnah over there, it's talking about a situation, again, the konim over there was where the husband tells the wife, you can't get benefit from me, and it wasn't saying she's allowed to get benefit and we trust that she'll fulfill the condition. It was saying if she got the benefit, even though maybe she wasn't supposed to, but if she did get the benefit, then hareza b'bal yachil devaro, then there could be a violation of bal yachil, again, of assuming that she does not fulfill the condition. And the Gemara continues to Tanan. We learned in the Mishnah, this is also Mishnah later on, Sha'at neneso li ad hachag. So this is basically the reverse of the Mishnah we quoted earlier, the reverse of the part of the Mishnah we quoted earlier. Let's say he tells her that you can't get any benefit from me until Sukkos. Im te'elchi lebeis avicha ad haPesach. And that's true if you go to your father's house until Pesach. So in this situation, the konim is that she can't get benefit until the Chag, until Sukkos, and the condition is if she goes to the father's house until Pesach. And so holcha lefnei haPesach. So if she does go to her father's house before Pesach, so asura b'hana also ad hachag. So then there would be a prohibition to get any benefit from him until Sukkos. Umuteres leilech achar Pesach, and it's mutter to go after Pesach. Obviously, it's mutter to go after Pesach because the condition only was she can't go until Pesach. Now, holcha asura, lo holcha lo. So the Gemara says, so if she went, meaning to say that the Mishnah is saying, if she went before Pesach, so then there's going to be an Isser until Sukkos, otherwise there is no Isser. So it sounds like it's saying, what do you mean otherwise there is no Isser? It sounds like there is no Isser, and we're not concerned, we're not concerned that she won't fulfill the condition. We assume that she will fulfill the condition. Sounds like it's a refutation of Rav Yehuda's position. And the Gemara says, Amar Rava says, Hu adin da'afilu lo halcha asura. Really, even if she wouldn't have went to her father's house before Pesach, there would be a prohibition because we would be concerned that she would not fulfill the condition. The same would be true even if she didn't went, it would be asur, but it means to say, halcha asura veloke. It means if she went to her father's house, so then it's going to be prohibited and there's going to be malchus. If she violates the konim in that situation, there's even malchus. But lo halcha, but if she didn't go, so then asura balma, so then it's just forbidden, but it's not yet going to be malchus. It's forbidden because we're afraid she will not fulfill the condition. And the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have a question from the following Tosefta. Kikar zu olai hayom. Let's say a person says, this loaf is going to be prohibited to me today. Im eilech lamakom ploni lamacher. If I go to such and such a place tomorrow. So the Tosefta says, Achal, if he ate the kikar, harezeh b'bal yelech. Now he's not allowed to go to that particular place, because then again, that's going to be a violation of the neder. And the Gemara's question is, it sounds like over here he's allowed to eat the kikar, and we rely on him that if he eats the kikar, we rely on him that he's not going to go l'makom ploni. That sounds like against Rav Yehuda's position, because Rav Yehuda would say he's not allowed to eat the kikar because we're concerned that maybe he will go l'makom ploni and there's going to be a violation of the neder. And so the Gemara answers, Mikatani ochel, does it say over here, ochel, that he's allowed to eat the kikar? It doesn't say that. Achal katani, it says in the past tense, if he ate the kikar, so then he has a prohibition to go. But really he shouldn't eat the kikar, because we are afraid that he might end up going l'makom ploni. The chiyachal, it just means, again, the Tosefta just means, if he ate the kikar, harezeh b'bal yelech. So now he's not allowed to go l'makom ploni the next day. And the Gemara continues, quoting from the same Tosefta, Halach, it says, let's say he did go, meaning it's talking about where he ate the kikar on day 1, and then he went l'makom ploni on day 2. Harezeh b'bal yachil, now there's a violation of bal yachil. He has now violated the neder, because again, he ate from the kikar, and he did go l'makom ploni. So harezeh b'bal yachil devaro, that's a violation of bal yachil devaro. And so the Gemara says, Mahalech lo, it doesn't say he's allowed to go l'makom ploni, meaning because he didn't eat the kikar. It sounds like he ate the kikar and he's not allowed to go l'makom ploni. V'kasha l'Rav Yehuda. Again, it's a kasha to Rav Yehuda, because it sounds like he's allowed to eat the kikar, and we're not concerned that he's going to go l'makom ploni, but rather we're saying he shouldn't go l'makom ploni after he eats it. And so the Gemara says, Amar Lach Rav Yehuda, no, Rav Yehuda will respond to you, Hu adin de lisni mahalech. It really could have said mahalech. In other words, really he shouldn't be eating the kikar, and therefore the next day he could go l'makom ploni because he didn't. But aidi de katani reisha achal, since in the reish at the beginning of the Tosefta it says achal, the lo misni le ochel, because it can't say ochel there, because again he's not allowed to eat the kikar really. It's just if he ate the kikar, then he has to be careful not to go l'makom ploni. So tani seifa halach, that's why the seifa is also taught in that past tense of halach, meaning to say as if when he already ate the kikar, so then if he goes, it's bebal yachil. That's the only reason it's written in that fashion. But again, Rav Yehuda would tell you, really the individual should not eat the kikar. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Ha'omer li'isha konim shani meshamshech. Let's say a person says to his wife, a konim, regarding having relations, I'm not going to have relations with you. Harei zeh bebal yachil devaro, that is an effective neder, and there's bal yachil in that case. And the Gemara says, "V'mishtabid lo midoraisa," but he has an obligation to her on a doraisa level. How can he take a neder not to fulfill the obligation that he has to her? T'chsiv, like the pasuk says, "She'era ksusav yonasa lo yigra," he can withhold share ksus and ona from his wife. So there's an obligation of ona. There's an obligation to have relations with her. And the Gemara says, "Ba'omer hanoas tashmishei cholai." He's not saying that he's going to withhold his obligation to her. He's saying that from himself, he's going to withhold the pleasure of tashmish upon me, meaning from himself, and that actually could be effective. If he's making the neder with regards to himself, that actually works. He's not going to have this tashmish, he's not going to have this pleasure, and that will be effective. The Yomer Rav Kahana, like Rav Kahana said, Tashmishe alacha kofin oso masham shaso. Let's say she says, let's say it's the wife to the husband, and the wife says to the husband that she's going to withhold from him, so he can force her, we can force her, and she has relations with him. Because again, she has obligations to him. But if she phrases it in the other direction, Hanoas tashmishcha alai, let's say she says the pleasure of having tashmish is upon me, meaning I'm putting the prohibition that I'm not going to derive this benefit, so then also then it actually does become forbidden to her, because we don't feed to a person something that is forbidden to him. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Shvua she'eni yashen. Let's say a person makes a shvua as opposed to a neder. A shvua, I'm not going to sleep. She'eni medaber. A shvua, I'm not going to speak. She'eni mahalech. A shvua, I'm not going to walk. Asr, in those situations, the shvua is effective, and those are asr. Karban lo ochalach, let's say a person says it's a carbon not to eat from you, or ha carbon she ochalach, or this carbon to eat from you, or low carbon lo ochalach, or it's not a carbon that which I don't eat from you, mutter, all of those cases it's not effective, and it is mutter. And the Mefarish over here explains, Shvua she'ini yoshin, she'ini medaber, the Shvua chala, al davar she'in bo mamish. The first part of the Mishnah is teaching us that the Shvua does take effect even on something without substance, so the person can take a Shvua not to sleep, not to talk, etc. Carbon lo ochalach, let's say the person says carbon lo ochalach, so dahainu komo imra lo ochalach, that's like saying imra is the sheep, or carbon, it should be a carbon that which I don't eat of yours, the mutter, that's all going to be mutter in that situation, because he's saying carbon on the items that I'm not eating, meaning the items that I am eating are still going to be permitted. Ha carbon sha'ochalach, if he says ha carbon, nami mutter, that's also not a neder, that's mutter. The lo nader ala b'chai carbon, like we said earlier, here the neder is being made by the life of the carbon, which is not an effective neder. And finally, low carbon, lo ochalach, if he says it's not a carbon, that which I don't eat from you, mashma b'shvil iser lo ochalach, shem ochalach lahave aser, all like a carbon, mutter. In this situation, it's going to be mutter, because the only prohibition is going to be by inference. It's not a carbon that which I don't eat from you, and we could infer from that it is a carbon that which I do eat from you, mutter l'taima de Rabbi Meir de lesle mechlal lav v'chulu. It's going to be mutter because we're following Rabbi Meir over here. Rabbi Meir says we don't say mechlal lav. You can't derive an Isser from an inference. And the Mefarish points out to Rabbi Yehuda. Now, if you're going to try to say this mission is Rabbi Yehuda, Bein Amar Carbon Sha'ochelach, Bein Amar Ha Carbon Sha'ochel, Betarvayu Mater Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda would say it doesn't make a difference if you say Carbon Sha'ochelach or Ha Carbon Sha'ochel. In all of those situations, it would actually be mutter. And here, clearly, in our mission, we're making a distinction, so it's clearly not Rabbi Yehuda. Hafilu Amar Karban Sha'ochalach. Even if a person says Karban Sha'ochalach, it's mutter according to Rabbi Yehuda. Kenamrin Pirkin de Le'el, Karban HaKarban, Ki Karban Sha'ochalach Aser, Mani Rabbi Meir. We said earlier that Karban HaKarban, Ki Karban, those are all Aser according to Rabbi Meir. To Loshani Le, Bein Imra L'chi Imra. He doesn't make a distinction between Imra and Ki Imra. To Rabbi Yehuda, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, he does make a distinction. He would say Karban Sha'ochalach mutter, that Karban Sha'ochalach is mutter, and so therefore Rabbi Yehuda cannot be the author of the Mishnah. Again, it's Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir would not derive a prohibition by inference, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Tezayin Amud Aleph.